Yo, what's up guys? You got PokeaimMD here with another competitive Pokemon Sun and Moon Moveset video guide analysis, whatever you want to call it. This time we're going to be talking about Bewear. Now before we get into this video, I just want to say if you missed any of my previous moveset guides, I'm covering every single Sun and Moon new Pokemon. I think we're on like number 48 or something, or this is Pokemon number 48 that I've covered, or 47, one of those, something like that. We're around that mark. There's a playlist down below in the description. I encourage you to check that out. Also, feel free to follow me on Twitch and Twitter. Both of those links are down below. I stream often, and it's a great place to stay up to date with me. I was about to say it was the Family Guy. Great way to stay in shape with me. Maybe it is, maybe if you're running and watching my videos. I used to do that. I used to watch people's videos on the treadmill. It's pretty... I think that's okay. That's alright, knock them down sometimes with my headphones. Anyway, back to the video. We're going to be covering Bewear today. So, Bewear is a really, really cool Pokemon. Actually, my favorite Pokemon from the Sun and Moon anime. But that doesn't really matter at all. But it's a normal and fighting type with base 120 HP, base 125 attack, and then pretty average base 80 defenses, or base 80 defense, below average base 60 special defense, and below average base 60 speed, and then base 55 special attack. But we're not really talking about special attack. It's not a special attacker. It's a physical attacker. Now, normal and fighting is pretty cool because it does give it an immunity to ghosts, which is pretty solid. So it does have that immunity, though normal type doesn't really give you anything else outside of that but a bunch of weaknesses. So it does have 3 abilities, which are all useful in their own right. Fluffy, which is the new ability that it does have, where it takes half damage from contact moves, and then takes super effective, or 2 times damage from fire moves. So it's weak to fire moves, but it takes half damage from contact moves. So Mega Pincers Return, for example, does not KO Bewear at full HP. Klutz, which would be cool if it actually had like Switcheroo or something to abuse it, but its held items have no effect. Basically, if you have a Toxic Orb, it's not going to activate because of that. Just things like that. And then a Nerve, which prevents your opponent from from eating their berries. So the ability that we're actually going to be focusing on today is Fluffy. All the other ones are pretty outclassed. They're just not as good as Fluffy in comparison on this Pokemon. So the first set we have is CBB, the Choice Band Bear. Now this is a fast Choice Band Bear with Hammer Arm or Superpower. It actually says Hammer Arm Superpower, but you can run Hammer Arm or Superpower, Return, Ice Punch, and Earthquake. Now the moveset is Adamant, or excuse me, the spread is Adamant, Max Speed, Max Attack. The rest was just poured into Spadef. You can put it into defense if you want, but neutral max speed is actually really nice on Bewear because it allows it to outspeed a lot of defensive threats such as Tapu Fini. A lot of them are not running more than 217 speed, so you do outspeed that. It allows you to outspeed into a KO Rotom Wash, defensive Rotom Wash, defensive Mega Venusaur. So Pokemon like that you can outspeed, as well as defensive Tran and Heatran, and defensive Landorus Therian form, which is actually running relaxed these days because it has to run HP Ice for opposing Landers and Salamence. So I like Choice Band fast. I like the ability to outspeed those threats and 2-KO them or OHKO them with either Ice Punch or Hammer Arm respectively. It's either Hammer Arm or Superpower. Superpower is better for retaining speed, obviously, but Hammer Arm is more spammable, meaning it doesn't lower your attack. It does lower your speed, but I can keep going for it without my attack being weakened. Ice Punch is there because it deals with Landorus, Salamence, Dragonite, pretty much everything weak to ice. Return and Hammer Arm are your 2 stabs, and Earthquake allows you to deal with Pokemon like Toxapex. It also, when Aegislash was around, it allowed you to deal with that. It does a ton to Mega Metagross, which you eat up a Zen Headbutt from because of Fluffy, which is really cool. And yeah, Earthquake is just there to damage mons that Hammer Arm doesn't hit. So Toxapex, Metagross, not that Hammer Arm doesn't destroy Metagross, because it does about 60-something% to Metagross, 60-something plus, but Earthquake just does more. So next up we have a fast Swords Dance set. Again, this is taking advantage of the fact that, like I said, Bewear does outspeed Landorus and Rotom Wash, Pokemon like that, like Tapu Fini as well. So a +2 Life Orb variant can knock out Rotom with Return. Ice Punch knocks out Landorus. Does a crap load to Tapu Fini, I believe it knocks it out with Stealth Rock. And you can also run Leftovers, obviously, for some longevity. Hammer Arm is there. So when you're going for Hammer Arm, usually it's just going to be Pokemon that's super effective versus or neutral, like Celesteela or Skarmory or things like that. So you're not usually staying in after that, but most of the time this Pokemon's probably just going to be SDing up, returning, and Ice Punching on your opponent. And I chose a fast set just because I like the ability to outspeed Rotom. I like the ability to outspeed Landers. I like the ability to outspeed some Tapu Fini and actually get off hits. There is an alternative spread to the SD set. Like I said, you can run Life Orb or Leftovers or even the Z move if you want to boost your normal type attack or your fighting type attack to all out pummeling to knock out like Celesteela at +2. But I like Life Orb. There's an alternative spread that my boy SketchUp made, and I thought that this deserved to be shown. So this set is 120 HP, 84 attack, 68 defense, 232 special defense, and 4 speed. Swords Dance, Return, Hammer Arm, and Ice Punch. And it's just a bulkier spread over the fast to avoid being KO'd by big threats like Greninja and Pheromosa. This was also made during the Aegislash meta, but that doesn't matter so much. Basically, EV spread, you take Genesect gets the attack boost to the special attack, so you are not 2-hit KO'd by like a special attack boosted Genesect. Gunk Shot from Greninja doesn't 2-hit KO. Ice Beam from Greninja doesn't 2-hit KO. Life of Hydro from Kindra in the Rain doesn't OHKO. You can 2-hit KO Toxapex with +2 return. It's just a set he made that I felt that it did deserve to be shown. It was on Smogon, and I said, oh, this is a pretty cool set. I like the calcs that he made. So if you want to try this out, you can. I prefer being faster than my opponent and taking them out, but that's a bulkier spread. It takes a high jump kick from Pheromosa and whatnot. So because of its low base speed, it can function as a Trick Room Abuser. Now, the Trick Room Abuser can either run Choice Band or Life Orb. You'd run Brave Nature, 0 speed IVs, just max out your HP, max out that attack, and because it is Trick Room, because you want to hit hard, Trick Room is like hyper offense for slower mons. You want to hit hard and get off as much damage as possible, so Double Edge is the option over Return. It just does so much damage, especially if you're Choice Band, even if you resist. Earthquake, Hammer Arm, and Ice Punch. It's just a standard a Choice Band set or a Life Orb set. Again, you can run Life Orb or Choice Band. Life Orb is actually pretty cool as well, just not being locked in options. And again, you have that damage output from Double Edge. There's a difference in the damage that it does from Return and Double Edge, so you're just doing a lot more damage. You want to pair this thing with Trick Room setters, Porygon, Carbink, Cresselia, and whatnot. Cresselia is actually really nice, especially if you're running Double Edge, because it does have Lunar Dance to bring back your HP, so it lets this Pokemon hit hard and then pummel through your opponent and then give it a second chance with that. Now we have Sub Bulk Up. It does have a high base HP stat, and with Sub Bulk Up, you can set up on Pokemon such as Toxapex without Haze. They do run Haze, but this does let you take hits from like Greninja, for example. You could take a Hydro Pump from Greninja, knock that boy out with Hammer Arm. It's just the idea of this set is to sell up to avoid status from slower Pokemon, and then just start bulking up. You can run Shadow Claw over Hammer Arm or Return if you want to be able to hit Ghost types. Earthquake is also an option as well, but this is more of a boosting option for Bewear. I've only used this set several times. The other sets I have plenty of experience with, but I've only used Sub Bulk Up several times. It has worked in setting up on Pokemon such as Mantine, which can't break my sub. Like I would sub up on the Mantine coming in, and then I would bulk up, and it would take 2 skulls to break my sub. I just sub down again and just beat it down 1v1. You also sub up pretty safely versus non-flamethrower Celesteela. Though Flamethrower can do enough to your sub because of Fluffy, but non-Flamethrower Celesteela, you sub up versus that. Bulk Up versus this, or if it's running like Earthquake, Leech Seed, Protect, which some do run for Magnezone to do more damage to them, to knock them out. You can need a hit from that, but subbing up on Ferrothorns, just bulking up and getting off more damage. Because Fluffy only works on contact moves, be careful, because subbing up on a Landorus Steering Form, though it does let you to beat it 1v1, Earthquake is still going to be doing regular damage, and Landorus Steering Form is a strong mon, so be careful about that. But Earthquake will be doing a ton of damage. Now we have an AV set. This set is designed to not be 2-hit KO'd by Specs Greninja's Hydro Pump. Specs Greninja's Hydro Pump does not 2-hit KO. The EV spread is 40 HP, 212 attack, 252 special defense, and then 4 speed. 4 speed allows you to outspeed, I believe, other base 60s like Clefable, who are not running speed, which they normally don't. This also allows you to take a Psychic from Scarf Tapu Lele in Psychic Terrain and do about 60-70% back or return. So with a bit of prior damage, you can take that Psychic and you can knock him out. But the idea of this set was to not be 2-hit KO'd by Specs Greninja's Hydro Pump. And I'll show you, well, this is regular Greninja's Hydro Pump. It's regular Greninjas, but before it actually Mega Evolves. But you also tank a Dark Pulse into Hydro Pump from like a Life Orb Greninja and whatnot. But Assault Vest is more so it can tank the hit. It can already, just because of its massive HP stat, it can just abuse this and to be able to tank hits. I don't generally like it as an Assault Vest user. I think I'd rather use it as a Choice Band user or Fast Swords Dance user. I'm just being honest with you from what I've used it. As an Assault Vest user that can tank hits is great, but I don't see why I wouldn't use Magearna or Muck as Assault Vest users over Bewear. But Bewear does have Fluffy, which again lets it take those contact moves, and it does have a pretty high attack stat. But I prefer Muck and Magearna as Assault Vest users. But again, I have used this set to some success, so I am going to mention it just in case it is an option that you guys can use. It is definitely an option. But I prefer Magearna as an Assault Vest user, having return, Volt Switch and whatnot. But because this dude does have a really great move pool, normal, ground, fighting, ice coverage. That's amazing coverage right there. It can be used as an Assault Vest Mon, and it eats up hits. So it does have a few other options. Again, I mentioned Shadow Claw if you want to hit Ghost types Toxic on maybe like a subset, Sub Toxic or Sub Protect or something like that. Thunder Punch can be used to hit Mantine, hit Gyarados, hit Toxapex all in one. Whereas, as well as Tapu Fini for super effective damage. Whereas Pain Split is also an option just because you already know if you're played Sun and Moon, this boy used Pain Split versus you when you were at 1 HP. I don't know why, but it gave you a whole bunch of HP. But Pain Split is an option that you can have with like a sub or like a toxic Pain Split set. But generally that isn't so good because it has such a high base HP stat. You're usually helping your opponent more so than healing yourself. But it is an option that it does have for recovery. Now, a few partners that we have right here. Zapdos is a great partner, being able to take on Mega Pinsir, being able to take on Metagross, being able to defog away hazards, being able to take on Tapu Fini, which threatens Bewear. It is a great partner, getting rid of hazards, dealing with Garchomp also if you're running HP Ice, dealing with Celesteela, dealing with Skarmory. So it's a great, absolute great partner with CB Bear. Magearna, likewise, in Assault Vest, Magearna set, or even an offensive set, pairs very well. Takes these psychic attacks aimed at Bewear, takes on Tapu Lele, for example, as I mentioned. Salamence is also very nice as a partner for Bewear because Salamence can learn Pokemon such as Tapu Fini and smack them hard with a +1 Supersonic Sky Strike, getting rid of threats like that would otherwise be tough for Bewear to deal with as a super effective Moonblast and whatnot. So Salamence is a really good partner. Also provides defog support as Fire Blast for steals. Salazzle, again, another good partner, outspeeds Metagross and threatens that. Threatens all of the Tapus. The Tapus cannot switch into it, so it helps with that on that side. And it also benefits from Bewear just weakening Pokemon or luring in Pokemon like Scizor or weakening Pokemon like Zygarde with Ice Punch or getting rid of them, allowing Salazzle to put in work. Landorus Therian form gets up rocks. Takes the Earthquakes aimed at Bewear from opposing Landorus, has HP Ice if you're running that for opposing Landorus with Supersonic Sky Strike, and again, U-turn for momentum, lures in Pokemon such as Skarmory, and that's why Magnezone Landorus Bewear is also a really good core. Magnezone gets rid of Scizor, Skarmory, Celesteela, Ferrothorn, though all of those outside of Scizor, Bewear doesn't really mind too much because it can just Hammer Arm or Superpower them for 2 KOs most of the time, but Magnezone just again helps it with that and also resists fairy type attacks aimed at Bewear. So without further ado, I think that's all we got to do for covering Bewear. Basically, best sets: Fighting Stab, Return, Ice Punch, and Earthquake. That's probably its best set. Sub Bulk Up does have its uses. It does force switches. You can run a speedier set as well to be able to outspeed Mantine, Pelipper, things like that if they're not running Hurricane. And AV again does have its use. It's not 2 KO'd by Greninja's Hydro Pump. It does live the Psychic from Tapu Lele, so it is an alternative set. And again, it outspeeds Clefable and whatnot. But in any case, guys, hope you all enjoyed. Of course, feel free to leave a like, subscribe, do your thing, and I'll see you guys next time. Goodbye, friends.